capitalism has gone through many a crisis, and the emergence of a social welfare system was nothing but a self-preservation instinct, right? And I think what probably should preoccupy us, whether you're living at the level of a farming community somewhere in the Midwest, or whether you are looking at, you know, where is coltan going to come from for the cell phone industry tomorrow, or phosphate to keep the agriculture industry going. What has preoccupied me increasingly is the notion that we are actually reaching a point where society has to become a lot more intelligent in managing its wealth, and not just financial wealth, I mean natural wealth also. And it has to learn to become much more efficient in using the resources we have. A couple of numbers that just demonstrate the extraordinary challenge to human ingenuity. It's only 200 and something years ago that we moved from being 1 billion to 6.5 billion people on the planet. Now, factor into that we will move from 6.5 to 9 billion in just 40 years, and you realize quite what a challenge in management terms we have of trying to feed people, trying to sustain the economies, improve levels of well-being, cope with the fact that we're all getting older and living longer. You know, other groups participating in the global economy that previously lived with a 0.1 footprint somewhere in the Amazon jungle perhaps, or in the savannas of Africa, and are now you know, buying fossil fuels and medical supplies, and want to participate in the mod cons of technology, television, computers, and so on. So you have an exponentially growing curve of people with an even more exponentially growing consumption footprint on the planet. And what's happening is that the thing has become so steep that it's about to fall over backwards. One of the frightening things is that we've been so damn slow in understanding quite how fast it's happening. I'll give you a simple example. I mean, just in the last 100 years, we have managed to destroy 50% of all the world's wetland systems, right? In the naive belief that they were wasted space, you know, malaria, smelly places, we needed them for agriculture. And so we just drained them, dried them up, turned them into building land or agricultural land. Now, you take out of a natural system 50% of something, it obviously has to have a consequence. And this is the big change where knowledge also plays a big role, because we did not know that drying up a wetland system, I don't know, somewhere in Florida or in the north of Germany or in the Okavango swamps in Botswana, would have any impact whatsoever on global balances. And yet, when you begin to realize in, you know, with ecology and biology and physics and the atmospheric sciences, that in fact wetland systems store 20 times more carbon per square meter than a forest, tropical forest system, you begin to realize, hey, hang on, there is something here that, you know, if you start taking 50% out of that, then at some point you're going to have a consequence. And this understanding that as we destroy or mine, let me put it this way, because we didn't look at it as destruction, we looked at it as mining, turning into value, the ecological infrastructure of the planet, transforming ourselves from being a society dependent on nature to, through mining nature, turning ourselves into an independent society from nature. You suddenly, at the beginning of the 21st century, because of all the science and systems analysis that we're now beginning to have at our fingertips, we realize one of the biggest ironies in human history, that as we thought we are closest to being freed from the vagaries of nature, natural disasters and all these things, boom, comes along climate change and says to us, actually guys, you've got to rethink your journey, because you are more dependent on nature today than you ever thought. Just two illustrations again. If you think that life on this planet in its entirety is dependent on something that is equivalent to the cellophane wrapper of a basketball, and we are messing around with that to the point that we have big holes already, the ozone layer. If you think that our entire food chain, and if you want the whole food chain also in the sense of animal kingdom, etc., is dependent on a layer that we screw up every year by plowing it and poisoning it of about 40 to 50 centimeters, which is the topsoil on this planet, which, by the way, in America alone, you lose about $400 billion worth of topsoil every year. You know, for a long time it didn't matter, because there was always somewhere else to go. There was always somewhere else to, you know, farm, settle. Then came along, you know, industrial agriculture. So okay, you screwed up your soil, but you put in nitrogen and you could somehow recreate nature. Nobody told you that nitrogen will go somewhere and will create, dead zones off our coasts with deoxygenation. So for large parts of the year now, there are places around the world that have no life in them anymore because the oxygen is just gone.